Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Marina, I'm from Oregon, and today we're going to be installing a receiver hitch on this Chevy Cruze.
You will need the tools seen here to complete this installation.
So to install this hitch, we're going to have to lower the exhaust. So we have two exhaust hanger brackets towards the rear here, one on the driver's side and then same exact one on the passenger side. And then way down towards the front of the vehicle we have a rubber hanger we're going to take out as well. But before we remove any of that, we are going to have to support the exhaust with a strap. So we're going to put that on now. We're going to use this strap, we're going to wrap it around this center support beam in here. And then go under the exhaust and up over that beam again, so that when we lower the exhaust we don't damage the flange up towards the engine. Now I'll just tighten that all up. And we'll leave just a little bit of room so that when we lower it, it comes out of the way for us to install the hitch. So on our two rear exhaust brackets, we have two 13mm nuts that we're going to take off. And then I'm going to try and show you the plastic clips that hold that bracket in there. But you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to get it out of those plastic clip holes. We have our two nuts removed, and if you can see these two plastic clips that are facing in that downward position there, we're going to use the flathead to pop those out. You may need to lift up on the exhaust to relieve some of that weight. And the driver's side done, and we'll repeat on the passenger side. These are the exhaust hanger clips that we had to pry out with the flathead, just so you can see what those look like if you're having trouble with them. You'll just have to pry this part in here to get it out of the frame. Now we're going to move towards the front of the vehicle, and we're going to just take out that rubber exhaust hanger up there. So to remove our rubber exhaust hanger back there, I'm going to use some exhaust removal pliers. You just place the tip of it here on the metal part of the hanger, and this will pull the rubber right off of it. So next we are going to remove the heat shield here. So we have 4 metal clips that we're going to remove using the needle nose pliers that we're going to insert into the little holes here. And then you just rotate and pull to get those clips out there until you can get your hands on it, and then just twist them off. And then you'll just repeat on the passenger side. Okay, and then after that we just have the 2 in the center, and the heat shield will come down. Okay. Now we have all those metal clips removed, we can remove the heat shield. And we will have to trim this in just a moment. And the next step is we're going to trim our heat shield on both sides. We need to cut 3 inches, so just to where that little hill starts there, and then 3 inches from this end as well. So I've marked my cut, and I'm going to use tin snips to remove just this piece of the heat shield so that we'll have room to install the hitch hardware. And then we'll repeat the same cut on the other side. And before we reinstall the heat shield that we just trimmed, we're going to go ahead and fish wire our hardware through. We have our carriage bolt and our carriage bolt plate, and we're going to use this fish wire here to insert that hardware. So let me show you the mounting points under here. You'll see there's several holes. These smaller ones here, this is the frontmost one, and then the rearmost one right here, that's where our hardware is going to be installed eventually. We're going to access through any of these larger holes here will work just fine. So I'm going to get my hardware ready and we'll fish wire it through. Get our plate in place. And then you'll just insert the wire into our access hole here and pull it through our mounting hole. Perfect, so there's one. And we'll do the same thing with the other mounting hole. So insert the wire into the access hole and you can feel it with your finger through the mounting hole. Just pull it through. And then we'll repeat on the driver's side. And the holes are identical on this side as well. We're just going to access through this larger hole. Feel for the wire and pull it through. Perfect. And now we're ready to reinstall our heat shield. So we have our heat shield and the same hardware we removed from it, but now we have our trimmed edges on both sides so that we have room for the hitch hardware that we just placed. So we're going to go ahead and slip this up over the exhaust here. So as we were installing the heat shield, we noticed that the hardware we just installed was actually running into this edge on the heat shield, which was not called out to be trimmed in the instructions, but we are going to go ahead and just cut away this portion right here on both sides so that we have room for our mounting hardware to go through. And we'll repeat on the other side. And now we're ready to reinstall the heat shields. So we'll go up over the exhaust here. And see, now where we just trimmed, we have room for that hardware to go through. So we'll just reinstall. We're only putting 4 of these pieces back because from here the hitch is actually going to hold the heat shield secure from rattling. So we have 1 on each side, and then we have the 2 in the center still. The heat shield's back in place, and now we're ready to position our hitch. So on the hitch, you'll notice there are several holes. These 2 oval-shaped ones are our attachment points, and then these are just making room so that we don't run into other hardware on the vehicle. But the bolts that we just fished through are going to go through these 2 attachment points right here. And we're going to use our U-Haul exclusive hitch jack to position the hitch. If you don't have this, if you're doing this at home, I recommend getting a friend so that you're not hurting yourself while you're getting this hitch in place. And we are going to go through and slip right over the exhaust there. Before I get too much farther, I'm going to slide my wires through our oval-shaped attachment points. On both sides. Now that our hitch is in place, you can see where our mounting hardware is coming through those 2 oval-shaped holes, and where the hitch has room for the vehicle's hardware to come through and not interfere. The next step is we're going to remove this fish wire on both sides. Careful not to lose the hardware into the frame. And we're going to install the conical toothed washer and our nut on there just to secure it, making sure that the teeth are facing upwards, biting into the hitch for a secure fit. And then we'll repeat that step on the passenger side. Okay, now that we have all our hardware hand tight, and before we put the exhaust back in, just while we have the room, we're going to go ahead and torque all of that hardware down. So before we get to our final torque, I'm just going to snug all 4 bolts down with an 11/16 inch socket and my electric drill here. So now we have our torque wrench set to 59 foot-pounds, and we're going to tighten all 4 bolts down to the proper torque. When you hear that click, that means we're there. Perfect. So now all our bolts are torqued to 59 foot-pounds, and we can reinstall the exhaust that we lowered. So we're going to reinstall these exhaust hanger brackets that we removed. I still have the hardware that I took off and my 13mm socket. Just be careful that those clips do go back into place as you're reinstalling. So I have the nuts loosely on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten them down with my socket here. Perfect, and those clips snap back into place, so I'm going to repeat on the passenger side. I'm just going to replace the rubber exhaust hanger that we removed from this hanger bracket here. And I'm going to remove the strap that we used to hold the exhaust because now it's completely remounted back into place. So we just completed our installation of this nice 1.25" receiver. You can see the safety chain loops for towing small trailers, and I really like how it's just nice and centered. It's pretty low profile on this vehicle. So we've got two measurements that are important for when you're picking out hitch accessories for the receiver hitch we just installed. The distance between the center of the pinhole here and the edge of the vehicle is 5 inches, and the distance between the top of the receiver and the ground is 10 inches. And so we're ready to use a bike rack or tow a small trailer and enjoy the outdoors. Be safe. Thank you.
To learn more about the products seen in this video, or to schedule an installation by a U-Haul Hitch professional, visit us online today at uhaulhitches.com.